All right. Welcome, everyone. You are now tuning in to another episode of the Shining Light Podcast. And today's topic is going to be about your inner child and healing that inner child. All right. So, just for context, um, let's give you a little bit of background in my childhood, right? So, the reason that I am the way that I am, right? It just comes from a place of if you were here before, I mentioned being put in the position to where I have to be self-aware and have to question everything. Now, I won't get too much into it because we're not trying to trauma dump here today. But I will give you context in the scenarios and the situations where I had to question stuff. So, for example, like when I was in school, middle school specifically, you know, in school they always try to make it sound like, because you're in school currently, that every kid wants to go to college, right? Because it's like, well, what are you gonna do if you don't go to college? Like, are you want to be useless? You want to be nothing? And the interpretation of that is devastating for a child to hear, right? That if they don't go to this next stage, this next facility, this next place of imprisonment, that their their value as an individual, as a person, is nothing. And that's not a message we want to send to children. I can't really promote that because in all honesty, you should be trying to think at a child's level. A lot of us try to think at an adult level, but how is a middle schooler supposed to know that, okay, after college, I'm supposed to get this job and get this certificate and go here? Like, when I was a kid, I either, wanted to be outside playing soccer or I was on that Xbox, that 360. I was playing Left 4 Dead. I was playing Modern Warfare 2, like Halo, like we were getting in it. We were in there playing the game. So I was very much like in that mindset as a child. But something that I didn't have foresight about, or I had foresight about rather, was that I knew how I felt in school. And I knew that the idea of college, it didn't really spark that creativity. It didn't really spark that wonder. It just was kind of a place that they tried to funnel you into. Just going through the motions, like go get this degree, go get this certificate, just so you can be normal, right? And I always questioned that. I always at 12 years old, I'm thinking, if I end up in this place, my life is over. That's what I felt at 12 years old. I felt like my life was over. So that is one instance where I felt like that. Another instance is just working a job, just like working a regular job, which I understand, as an adult, you got to pay bills, you got to do this, you got to do that. But, you know, for me personally, You know, whenever I tried to work at a job, a regular 9 to 5 job, whether it be retail, whether it be food service, whether it be tutoring or whatever, it just, these things just didn't end up working out, and it didn't make sense to me. They always told me that if you go work this job and if you get that 20-year pension plan, or you get that 401k, you get that retirement plan, that's when you can take it easy. And in this economy, that makes perfect sense that a person would think that they are going to be working for a very long time. And that's all well and good. But my question is, why can't you do a job, do a career? Actually, I don't even like the word job. The word job is like cursed to me because of the stuff I experienced. So instead of your job, what is your dream career? What would you want to be doing that if you had to work there every day, it's just every day is a new day for you? Not to say it'll be easy to take that path, but what is something that really lights you up, that really makes you passionate, that really makes you want to get up in the morning? And if if you're making a good amount of money too, that's just a cherry on top. You're just living life to the fullest. And I always will encourage people to go for that. Like if you have to work that 9 to 5 job for a little bit, absolutely. But really consider what that dream career looks like for you. Because if you have to work, you might as well have fun doing it, right? And this next one is a bit controversial, right? So I know I said that I would try to, I'll try to not trauma dump, but we got to do it a little bit. The church. I love God just as much as anybody, right? I have my own personal relationship with spirit, me personally. God for me is an energy. It's something that is within all of us, all of creation is God speaking through it. Like that's what I experience, because coming up in the church, I liked some aspects about it, right? I love the camaraderie of coming together as a community to really celebrate the spirit, to really get into it and just share that love of God. Like I could appreciate it from that angle. But there were aspects of it I couldn't really get down with. Like certain questions I would ask, like, okay, we're in the church. We're supposed to be talking about God. And for some reason, why do we end up talking about hell more than we talking about heaven? Heaven on earth, and bringing that peace, that prosperity, that abundance, that positivity. Why do we end up talking about everything but God? For me, because they drilled in that fear of God, that you're going to hell if you don't follow this, that, and the third, right? As a child at like 9, 10 years old, you're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to go to hell. I'm going to burn. Like this is awful. And for me, that just came in where my brain subconsciously, like I would have dreams, I'd have nightmares about just being in that fiery pit and just souls of the damned screaming for all eternity. And it was, it was wicked, bro. It was traumatizing because a child's brain, subconscious is not developed enough to really interpret what is, what's real. So it's just like when you're waking up, those nightmares were very vivid. Like I could feel my skin, I could feel it, and every bit of it. It's just like, you know, it just it's just not a place you want to be. And what like it's not a place you want to promote to people either. You know, especially like a fear of God. Why do we fear God? Who does that who does that help? Who does that benefit to fear God? You always have, people that, they'll be preaching their ministries, they'll be speaking the prophetic word, they'll be talking to you and you're like, that's cool. But it's always like a condemnation that if you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you're going to hell. And I'm like, as a kid, I've already been there. It's not a fun place. But for the most part, I'll say hell is a state of consciousness. It's a state of mind that you're in. Heaven and hell is a state of mind that you're in. Because who knows what's after all of this? When everything is said and done and you go, like who knows like what's next, right? But from my personal experience, it's a state of mind that you're in. Heaven and hell is a state of mind. So just the fear mongering, and I remember, asking one of my family members, one of my cousins, like a very specific question. And the answer that I got, at 14 was just like, it just didn't sit right with me. Because my fundamental question was, okay, so what if you are a good person, but you just didn't follow the Bible, right? You did, you spread love, you treated God's creation with the utmost respect. You built people up. You lifted people up. You motivated people to be better. And you found peace within yourself and you didn't take it out on other people. I didn't say it exactly like that, but that was my intention when I came to them with that question. And they specifically told me that even if you're a good person, you deserve to go to hell. And that never sat right with me. That never sat right with me. No offense to anyone that goes to church. No offense to anyone that believes in the Bible. That is you have every right to have that. But all I will say is it's just for the ones that are more extreme, that's not your job to judge people. That's not your job to do God's job. You have to show people something different. You have to show people that there's hope of salvation. You have to show people how to find peace within themselves. Because if you're just fear mongering, that's all it creates. It just creates another vacuum. It creates more like magnification of more fear and more people that are lost, more people that are aimless. So I would strongly suggest the church really reevaluate what we're trying to do if we're trying to get people to know the word, right? And for me, I consider myself more spiritual. So I take inspiration from all over in terms of any like ideology or, any like, modality. I take inspiration from Christianity. I take inspiration from Buddhism. I take inspiration from Hinduism, Taoism. They're just pieces of the puzzle. And I feel like each scripture, different texts, whether it be the Bible, whether it be the Quran, or whether it be, just books from ancient civilizations that talk about God, I think it's all pieces of the puzzle. I don't think any group is has it all right. I think it's all connected. It's part of the connective tissue that connects us as people. So I think it's more beneficial to show people that God is not a fear, but it's a love. And I've gotten a little bit off topic, but my inner child, I I went through several stages of that. I went from being, born in, being a part of the Christian faith to agnostic to being atheist to being spiritual. It came full circle because the thing I said was, if there is a God, let it come to me in a truly profound experience, and that it did. So my life is changed, forever changed, But for the inner child to be healed, we have to talk about how a lot of adults walk around as fragmented people. We always talk about how, oh, you need to grow up, you need to do this, you need to do that. But, I'm just going to say it. The adults are nowhere near as mature as they like to claim. We think because we got a house, we have kids, we have these responsibilities, we pay bills, that makes us an adult. No, you got it all wrong. You have it all wrong. Because you can do all of those things, go to work every day, have kids, have the house, have that, and still be emotionally, mentally immature, and still have a fragmented spirit. And part of healing the inner child is to see yourself as every bit of development. You're not just an adult. You're not just middle-aged. You're not just elderly. You're every bit of it to get to this point. Because think about nostalgia, for example. Most likely, when you're nostalgic, you have a craving for something you experienced when you were a younger version of yourself in the past. And I think as part of the integration of the inner child is to look upon what inspired you back then and to integrate that in your adult life, so you don't feel like, like you're broken as a person. Because if you don't integrate the inner child, it's going to come up in another way. And typically, it's going to show up in a relationship because, our society tells us that that's what everyone's supposed to do. Everyone's supposed to get married. Everyone is supposed to have kids. But how can you have a child when you're not able to meet a child at the level that they're at? You haven't healed your inner child, and it's screaming at you to get your attention. So I think it's very important that we learn how to be in our own energy, being in our own field, and just let things, let these emotions, let these past experiences come up and see what we can learn from it. And when you're looking at children, you know, learn from them because they're a mirror of your experience. They're always been a reflection of your experience. And the people that I've heard a lot of stuff of where people will say, I hate kids. I hate, what they represent. But I'm just like, what do you hate? Do you hate their innocence? Do you hate that they're free? Or is there a deep wounded part of you that that like resents them because when you were a kid, you didn't get to have that fulfilling childhood. So you're projecting on them that they're the bad ones because that's what someone did to you, you know. So I really think that integration of the inner child and being able to sit is true maturity because you're not walking around trying to take it out on other people. You feel whole within yourself because you have brought the past, the present, the future together. So that's just all I wanted to talk about in this section, in this episode today. So thank you so much for listening. You have a good day. Peace.